Imagine this. You're safely hunkered down amidst a crisis, when suddenly there's a knock at your door. It's a sound that could send chills down your spine, a sound that could mean danger. You see, in the aftermath of a collapse, the real threat isn't just the lack of resources, it's the desperate strangers who might come knocking, looking for help. You might be wondering, why would they come to you? Well, they're on the hunt for the essentials: food, water, heat, medicine, shelter, and protection. All the things you've been prepping for, they want. And it's not because they're bad people. Most of them are just like you and me, trying to survive. But desperation can change people, turn them from friendly neighbors into potential threats. And how do you become a target? It's simple. If they believe you have supplies, you're on their radar. And it doesn't matter if you've been keeping a low profile, not saying a word about your stash. In times of crisis, people become desperate and they start to notice things. They notice that you're not as desperate as them, that you're surviving a little too well, and that's when they come knocking. But here's the thing. You don't have to be a target. By practicing operational security, OPSEC for short, you can avoid drawing attention to yourself. This means keeping your mouth shut about your preps, blending in with the blackout, and avoiding any actions that could give you away. It means being invisible, even in plain sight, so when that knock comes, you need to be ready. You need to have a plan, a prepared response that everyone in your household agrees on, and remember, you don't have to open the door. You can talk through a barrier, never confirming what you have. Because once you've been identified as a target, things can quickly escalate. Remember, in times of desperation, even the most neighborly folks can turn into potential threats, so be smart, be prepared, and stay safe. The best defense is not being found in the first place. You see, it's all about operational security, or OPSEC for short. It's like being a magician performing the greatest disappearing act right in the middle of a bustling city. Sounds impossible? It's not. It's about blending in, becoming a part of the background noise. And most importantly, it's about keeping your mouth shut. Now, I know it's tempting to share your plans, your preps, your strategies. Maybe you want to brag a little, or you're just trying to help others. But remember, every word you say could be a beacon, leading the desperate right to your doorstep. So practice the art of silence. It's a lifesaver. But it's not just about what you say or don't say, it's also about what you do. Light discipline, for instance, is crucial. In a world plunged into darkness, a single light can be seen for miles. So keep the lights low, use blackout curtains, or better yet, adjust to the darkness. Become a creature of the night. Noise control is another key element. A generator humming, a radio crackling, laughter, even the clanking of pots. These are all invitations you don't want to send. Keep your noise footprint as small as possible. And then, there's your online presence. Posting your preps on social media is like sending out invitations to a party you don't want to host. Keep your digital footprint as small as your physical one. The internet never forgets, and neither do desperate people. Remember, your goal is to be invisible in plain sight, to blend in so well with your surroundings that you become unnoticeable, unremarkable. You want to be the gray man, the one nobody remembers seeing. Because in a world turned upside down, being forgotten is the greatest safety you can hope for. The less attention you draw to yourself, the safer you'll be. So, they've found you. Now what? This is the moment your preparation is put to the test. The knock on your door is a signal that your world has just gotten a whole lot more complicated, but you're not powerless. You've thought this through. You have a strategy. Firstly, remain calm. This is crucial. You're not dealing with an enemy soldier here, but a desperate individual or family. Meet them with a level head. Have a prepared response you and your household agree on. This isn't a time for improvisation. Secondly, never open the door fully. Your door is a barrier, a line in the sand. It's there to protect you. Speak through a peephole, a window, or a partially open door. Don't let them see into your home or get any hint of what you might have inside. Now, let's talk about assistance. It's human to want to help. But remember, your resources are finite. Consider preparing a minimal go bag, something that can help someone get by for a day or two, but be careful. Nothing in that bag should be traceable back to you. In all this, remember to be vigilant. Assess the situation. If they're alone, they may be less of a threat, but if they're part of a group or if they return, that's a different story. Any return visit is a clear signal that they see you as a resource, and that's a threat. This isn't about being heartless, it's about survival. In a world that's fallen apart, you have to make tough decisions. You've spent years preparing for this moment. You've stockpiled food, water, and other essentials. You've learned skills and planned for every eventuality. You can't throw that all away on a stranger's plea. You have a responsibility to yourself and your family, your inner circle. You can't save everyone, and trying to do so could cost you everything. It's a harsh reality, but it's the world you're living in now. Remember, if they return, they're a threat, period. You can't save everyone, and trying to do so could cost you everything. In a world where resources are scarce and the winds of desperation are blowing, your kindness can become your downfall. It's a harsh truth, but one that could mean the difference between survival and catastrophe. Imagine this scenario: a stranger knocks on your door, pleading for help. You give them food, water, maybe even some medicine. Then they come again, this time with more people, and then more. Before you know it, your stockpile is dwindling, your safety is compromised, and you're left vulnerable. This is where the power of no becomes vital. It's not about being heartless. It's about being practical. After all, if you can't sustain yourself, how can you possibly sustain others? Deciding when to say no can be challenging, but remember, your first duty is to your inner circle, your family, your loved ones. Every resource you give away is a resource they won't have, so assess the situation critically. Is the person a real threat? Are they becoming dependent on your aid? Are they likely to return with more people? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then it might be time to say no. One desperate stranger is risky. A group is a nightmare. Imagine, it's not just one or two strangers knocking on your door, but a whole pack of them. Yes, you heard it right. We're talking about group threats, when desperate strangers start traveling in packs. This poses a unique challenge, as groups can be much more intimidating and unpredictable. They can employ lookouts, use scare tactics, and even resort to forced entry. This is why it's crucial to have a plan for such scenarios. Firstly, you need to be ready for intimidation tactics. These groups might try to pressure you into giving up your supplies. They might make threats or even resort to violence. It's crucial to keep a cool head and not be swayed by their tactics. Your safety and the safety of your loved ones is paramount. Next, let's talk about lookouts. Groups often use lookouts to keep an eye on potential targets. If you notice unusual activity around your property, it might be a sign that you're being watched. This is where your earlier preparedness and stealthiness can come in handy. If you've been careful to keep a low profile, you'll be less likely to be targeted. Now, what if a group decides to force their way in? This is where your home defense strategies become essential. Use barriers to slow them down and avoid direct confrontation if possible. It's always better to avoid a fight than to engage in one. However, that doesn't mean you should be unarmed. Always have a means to defend yourself and your loved ones. Finally, you need to understand that dealing with group threats is about escalation. You need to be ready to escalate your defensive measures if the situation demands it. This might mean using more forceful tactics or even abandoning your home if it becomes too dangerous. In conclusion, group threats are a serious danger when bugging in. They require careful planning and a willingness to escalate your defenses if necessary. Never underestimate the power of numbers. Always have a plan for escalation. After that first knock, things change. You've been found out. But it's not the end, far from it. It's a signal to adapt, to adjust your strategy, to reinforce your defenses and anticipate more threats. Think of it as a wake-up call, a reminder that no plan is foolproof and adjustments are always necessary. It's time to evaluate what worked and what didn't. Did your silent alarms work? Were your choke points effective? Did your barriers hold up? If not, it's time to make improvements. But remember, it's not just about physical defenses. Your watch schedule may need to be rotated to ensure that someone is always on alert. You might need to keep an even lower profile than before. The less attention you draw, the better. One visit can quickly turn into 2, 3, many more. Word spreads, especially in desperate times. Expect to be tested again, and be ready. And you know what? That's okay, because you're prepared. Because you know that every visit, every knock at the door is a chance to learn, adapt, and become even more resilient. So don't be disheartened. Don't be scared. Be vigilant. Be ready. Because you're not just surviving. You're thriving. And remember, your responsibility is to your inner circle. You can't save everyone, and trying to do so could cost you everything. But with careful planning and constant vigilance, you can keep your loved ones safe, even in the most desperate of times. So let's wrap this up with a reminder. Stay alert, stay silent, stay safe, because the first visit won't be the last. And every knock at the door is a chance to become even stronger, even more prepared. Because in the end, it's not just about surviving. It's about thriving, even in the face of adversity. So don't be afraid of that knock at the door. Welcome it, learn from it, grow from it, and keep moving forward. Stay vigilant. The first visit won't be the last. Your home is your fortress, but it doesn't have to look like one. After an unwanted visit, it's time to think about fortifying your home. But remember, we want to keep a low profile. Your house should still look like a house, not a bunker from a post-apocalyptic movie. So how do you achieve that? First, let's talk about silent alarms. These are your first line of defense. They alert you, not the intruder. A simple pressure mat under a doormat, a tripwire hidden in the grass, or even a set of jingle bells on your door handle can give you that crucial heads up. But don't rely on just one. Layer them, so if one fails, another will alert you. Next, consider your choke points. These are narrow passages or entrances where an intruder's movement is restricted. It could be a hallway, a doorway, or a gate. Place obstacles in these areas that you can easily navigate but would trip up an intruder. Again, be subtle. A strategically placed piece of furniture or a plant pot can do the job. Now let's talk about hidden fallback areas. These are places you can retreat to if an intruder gets in. It could be a reinforced closet, a basement, or an attic. Make sure it's stocked with essentials and has an escape route. Layered defense is key. Start with locked gates. A simple padlock can be a surprisingly strong deterrent. Then add barriers. A high fence or dense hedge can be effective. But remember, we're not building a fortress. The goal is to slow down the intruder, not to stop a tank. And don't forget about light. Motion-activated solar lights can startle an intruder and give you a few precious seconds to react. Plus, they're energy efficient and won't draw attention. Lastly, always have a hidden exit. This is your last resort. It could be a back door, a window, or even a tunnel, but it should be well hidden and easily accessible. Remember, the best defense is one that goes unnoticed. Your home should still look like a home, but with a few clever tweaks, it can be as secure as a fortress. In times of crisis, the safety of your household is paramount. Let's revisit what we've discussed. It's crucial to understand why strangers might be drawn to your door. Food, water, heat, medicine, shelter, protection, everything you've prepped, they might want. To avoid this, practice OPSEC, blend in, and avoid drawing attention. If someone does come knocking, remain calm, ready, and have a prepared response. Remember, your responsibility is to your inner circle. If a group threat emerges, have a plan for escalation, but avoid direct confrontation if possible. After an encounter, reassess your bug-in strategy, reinforce what works and fix what doesn't, and remember, a fortress screams supplies. Opt instead for low-profile reinforcements. Your survival and safety rely on your preparation now. Like, comment, and subscribe for more real-world prepping content. Stay alert, stay silent, stay safe.